Hello, this is Sarfaraz Niazi. I have to share with you some of my thoughts about what will happen in the aftermath of the COVID 19 pandemic. One thing I'm confident that will happen is how we discover new drugs. I think this pandemic has made us realize that the real pharmacy that matters resides in our body and it's open 24/7. Over the past couple hundred years, we got enamored by chemical drugs, and recently, in the last 50 years, we have rediscovered that it's the biological drugs that really make a difference in how the body heals itself from all types of ailments. So, as we looked at the COVID 19 crisis, we found that the only solution that there was possible was how body healed itself through the antibodies it makes. There were a lot of treatments suggested, but I think they were all anecdotal. The only thing that will really matter in reality is how our body fights off the infection. So, historically, we have used vaccines, which have worked very well. We have been able to eliminate many diseases in the past. And as we all know, our yearly flu vaccines help us survive through the winter months easier. So now I'm back to the question of shouldn't we discover a method of creating a vaccine which is a lot more suitable and a lot more effective. I think this is the era when FDA will approve the first RNA vaccine or a DNA vaccine, which are much easier to manufacture, much safer also possibly in terms of the variability, if not in terms of efficacy, because that remains to be proven. We will also turn the research towards bringing more drugs that affect our immune system. They'll help us modulate the immune system, similar to the Cas proteins in the bacteria. Perhaps we can find an RNA sequence, a DNA sequence that will allow us to stay alert to all infections in the future. So, in my opinion, the pandemic, which has been a big suffering for millions, will bring something good also to the understanding of the drug industry, is that we need to go back to the basics. How we survived millions of years of living on this planet was not because of any diagnostics testing, was not because of any drug, was not because of any instrument. It was because of the persistence of our body to fight off the antigens, infections. I'm talking about anti-cancer drugs. I'm talking about Alzheimer's. I'm talking about diabetes. I'm talking about every disease that affects us today can be effectively controlled if we are able to motivate our own body system to take charge of it. So that will be one understanding, I believe, that will come out of this pandemic. It's been more than 100 years since we faced something like that. Back in 1918, we lost 50 million people to Spanish flu. And that will be like losing 200 million people today in terms of the population. And there too, we found that during the middle of the crisis, we declared the crisis to be over. We came out, there was a big celebration. We went back to lose another 20 million people. So I think we have to be very careful in not underestimating the harm that this pandemic can cause. But unfortunately, man is known to forget. We are not very good at learning from history. I'm only hoping that we'll be smarter this time. We'll learn to protect as many lives as we can. And in the aftermath, the drug companies, both big and small, will come back to basics. And instead of developing the active uh, treatments, I think we need to go back to some of the passive protection. And the vaccines is one of the answers to this solution. And I'm anticipating and I'm hoping that we will have the first DNA or RNA vaccine approved soon so that we can take care of not only just coronavirus, but any other maladies that will hit us inevitably in the future. Thank you.